This is a cheap mini Bitcoin miner. And when you buy it, you hope you're this, lucky. So they called it that. This is the LV08. This does 4.2 terahash a second of Bitcoin mining power, running off a 12-volt power supply, included at a whopping 150 watts. So no, this is not nearly as efficient as, say, like the BitAxe Gammas, which are open source, small scale Bitcoin mining hardware and software. But there are some very cool things about this. Okay, what I love about these, look at this. This is so cool. Integrated power supply, right? If you want to open this, I'm sure that you pop these feet off and there's screws underneath here that would give you access. This double confirms that same information we just talked about. We look into it, we can see big black heat sink looking good. We see the power components, we see the circuit board, we see the connections, we see what we're looking for. One thing that's interesting to me is the power connection type. This is basically what people would think of as a printer cable. It's just that 2-prong, right, to a NEMA 15P, which is the typical North American outlet. This also means that this should, AC, right, the current, 85 to 264 voltage, but that means it's gonna work wherever you plug it in. That's the point. Which, hey, by the way, I'm Vosk, and you're out here on the VoskCoin YouTube channel. And right now, you're stationed out here on the VoskCoin mining farm. I've been trying to learn more to earn more my whole life, but especially since I got into cryptocurrency. And I also started documenting my crazy crypto journey here on YouTube 7-8 years ago. I've learned a lot along the way. And I love reviewing products. It's so much fun. It's so interesting. It's so engaging. And I appreciate the opportunity to review this. We did not get this directly from Luckyminer. We got it from someone who sells multiple mining models. I'll drop a direct link to this down in the video description below, along with the coupon code to save you some coin. If you enjoy this free content and you want to see more stuff like this, please not only subscribe, but if you do decide to grab one of these, use our link and support the channel. So let's head into, maybe not, let's head into the hard drive mining shed, also known as the DIY data center, also known as a nice HVAC environment. Dual mini splits out here, only run one at a time. I've started a Bitcoin solo mining test bench here. So we've got all kinds of fun stuff to compare the Luckyminer to. 2 different BitAxe Gammas, a BitAxe Ultra, the Braiins mini miner original version, and of course we've deployed multiple Canaan Nano 3 Bitcoin miners before as well, and that would actually be the best direct comparison to this Luckyminer. So you'll notice there is no Ethernet cable, and you need an internet connection to mine Bitcoin. So, as we always have fun joking and saying, mining is easy passive income. All you have to do is plug in power and Ethernet, and you start earning. But you'll notice this says connect to SSID. This is the same behavior the BitAxes have. You plug them in, and then you get a local Ethernet connection, right? So I pull this up on my phone, Lucky, and then I get 06F1. That's that same network that is broadcasting here on its screen. It's probably gonna pull up Apple Captive. Captive.apple. Welcome aboard. This is pretty much the same thing on an Android, and you could also use a laptop for this as well. So, is this using BitAxe OS? Oh my god. We'll come back to that. Let's click on network. And from here, I need to put in my network. Orbital command, password, subscribe to VoskCoin. Gotcha. It didn't automatically restart, so I'm going to manually click the restart button here. Orbital command connection, and now it's showing the hash rate, the uptime, they were accepted, rejected, and the IP address. We're looking at 192.177. This takes us right into the device here. Let's click over to the settings, and I'll click on the settings here, and I'm going to copy and paste some mining pool information to ensure that this is mining to my address. Solo mining pool, solo mining port, username, right? So I'm going to use my Bitcoin address here, dot worker name. So I'm just going to call this Luckyminer, right? I'm going to use that same information here, and then I'm going to go ahead and then I'll save. So tell me at a glance, what do you see here between AxeOS and Luckyminer? This is pretty crazy. Let me flip back and forth for you on this. AxeOS, right? So this is what the BitAxe Gamma dashboards look like. Luckyminer.
Looking for a software to easily manage your miners? Be sure to also check out Luxor's suite of mining tools, which offers pools, a marketplace, derivatives, firmware, and their own hash rate index, which is backed by their own data and research. Luxor works with some of the big guys like Core Scientific, Marathon Digital, and Atlas Mining. Luxor is a sponsor of our channel, and we use their mining management software to manage some of our miners. The platform is super sleek and easy to use and helps us track profitability and when miners go down. To learn more about Luxor, check out their link in the video description below and use code VoskCoin to save.
So there's been previous Luckyminer models like the LV07. I have the LV08. I'm wondering if I can update the firmware to the original AxeOS since this is basically the same with a logo change. There's a lot of complaints in this thread about the noise. I don't find that to be the case with their new version, the LV08. There's a little bit of noise, but it's pretty quiet. It's not as quiet as my BitAxe Gammas or the Braiins mini miner, but it is quieter than a BitAxe Ultra, if you're familiar with that model. For reference, if you don't follow this stuff really closely, the older AxeOS versions use this color scheme. It's the exact same color scheme as the Luckyminer is using. The new Gammas use this basically black and red color scheme, but it's using that newer style dashboard here. So when we go over here to the dashboard, right? We're gonna see a hash rate. I've restarted a couple of times. I've been reading the logs, trying to just decipher any information I can there. Reporting over 4 terahash a second. We'll give this efficiency some time to stabilize here. Power 113 watts, the voltage, the ASIC voltage requested, all the information's right here. We see our mining pool information is there. You can put this in the swarm. That's super interesting. So like on the newer Gammas, it works better than the older Ultras, but we can see on swarm, it gives me total information here, right? Best diff, total power draw across these different units, the total hash rate, right? But this expressive, that's the Luckyminer. So this is starting to stabilize. Let's check it out in the mining pool. I had 5 workers, bam, now we've got 6. And we can see the Luckyminer right here starting to fire up. So the elephant in the room, what's the big chance we hit a Bitcoin block with this? We have a 1 in 1.3 million chance every single day to hit a Bitcoin block, which means that I have a 1 in 1.3 million chance to earn over $300,000 every day. And that's just with this one Luckyminer. And that's where this is interesting. Some of the other miners are much more efficient, these little mini Bitcoin miners, so they use much less power. But most people could deal with floating an additional electricity bill, right, where you're drawing something like another 100 to 150 watts a day. We're talking a couple dollars, several dollars a month added to your electricity bill for the chance to become the owner of over 3 Bitcoins. Oh, yeah. So I've got a bunch of solo miners going over here. My 1-day hash rate is 6.75, and adding 4 terahash to this is gonna put me at about 10.75, which gives me a 1 in 500,000 chance to hit a Bitcoin block every day. That's pretty cool, right? And I have full-size Bitcoin miners and stuff like that, so you know, you could take an S21 and you could solo mine with it, and then you would have a 1 in 27,000 chance to hit a block every day. But you're also gonna be getting slapped with a big electricity bill every day for that. These mini miners are so cool, and at Bitcoin's price, it could provide life-changing opportunity for just a couple $100s. Furthermore, these miners are all small, quiet, affordable. Almost all of them have Wi-Fi support. Only the Braiins mini miner does not have Wi-Fi support, but that's their original version. They're already working on their new version, so if you buy one of these moving forward, and it's not the 100, it's the 101 or above version, it will have Wi-Fi capabilities. Checking out the Luckyminer's performance per the screen here, we get a readout of the hash rate, the watts a terahash, the uptime, accepted rejected shares like we mentioned earlier, and of course the IP address. So this has the efficiency of basically like an original S19, like 104 terahash a second, not underclocked or anything like that. Fan speed, temp, power draw, reportedly 112, and it's taking that from the software side, and the mining pool information that's currently mining to, which is again solo pool. Solo pool does take a fee if you haven't hit a block. There's also public pool, open source pool software, no fee, crazy, but they've never hit a block. And that's kind of scary. I don't know if I want to be the trailblazer on that front. Really want to make sure things work the way they're supposed to, and should I be lucky enough to hit a Bitcoin block. Initial impressions of this thing are very good.
It was at this moment that he knew he f***ed up.
I need to explain the BitAxe to you. The BitAxe is an open source Bitcoin miner initiative. The hardware, design, the parts, they're all open sourced. You can DIY one or buy one that is put together by someone else. And hardware needs software, or more commonly referred to as miner firmware. The firmware for the BitAxes is open sourced. That means you can analyze the code, you can fork the code, you can change the code, you can add to the code. You can see it all on GitHub, which is a site where developers share their code, if you're unfamiliar. Luckyminer took this open source hardware and open source software and basically forked it, customizing it and closed sourcing it. That's the biggest issue in this equation. You can't have access to their software because it's closed source. It's private. You don't know where it is. You can't download it, nothing. And it's real bad when you take open source and you change it and you make it closed source. And then to double down on that bad actor premise, they haven't even contributed to the open source miner initiative, OSMU. And the U does not stand for initiative. That's just how I think of it in my head. This is like that meme where somebody makes something and then you take it and you turn around and you go, I made this. In the BitAxe community, they call it the Temu Axe. There's no denying the Luckyminer is a lot of hash for the money. It's cheap. It's very efficient compared to some other mini Bitcoin miners, but with what they're doing, it's surprisingly inefficient against properly built BitAxe Gammas. How has it really performed though? Because they can advertise whatever they want, but what's that real world mining profitability? It's significantly lower than it's supposed to be. This Luckyminer V8 is supposed to mine at 4.2 terahash a second while consuming 130 watts. However, its 7-day hash rate is effectively 3.73 terahash a second, missing an entire half terahash or 500 gigahash of mining power. And speaking of this manufacturer, another example of this is BitDSK. I haven't gotten one of their miners in hand, but apparently they're using ASICs from scrapped miners. Frumport on the OSMU Discord server said that he has BitAxe OS 2.1.8 running on his Luckyminer LV06, or basically the 6th version. He also has the LV07 version, which uses 2x BM1366 Ultra chips, but there's no BitAxe equivalent, so he doesn't have that running on AxeOS. We received the Luckyminer V8 as a gift from aslminer.com. We also have the Fluminer on the way from them. It's that new efficient Dogecoin miner, but we have not received it yet. So we're evaluating ASL Miner as a miner reseller and appreciate the opportunity. When I go and I check out for this $239 Luckyminer, it adds $98 to shipping. So if I was to go buy the Luckyminer V8, it would effectively cost me $337. A real world mining hash rate of 3.7 terahash a second, consuming around 120 watts. I think this is really interesting, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to review this. However, until they open source their software, and to be honest, start contributing towards the initiatives that have made their product even possible, I can't recommend their miner or be a fan of it. And to be frank, it's a little worrisome having something closed sourced like this from an unproven manufacturer. What if this actually hit a Bitcoin block and somehow it swiped it from me, the actual miner who bought the product and is mining with it? That would be nothing short of absolutely tragic. These are things that are very unlikely to happen with open source software that many intelligent developers are actively reviewing and tweaking that code. This is very much a direct competitor to the Canaan Avalon Nano Mini 3 original version, which, by the way, there's a new version on the horizon of the Nano 3s. The original Nano 3s here could potentially do 4 terahash a second, consuming 140 watts max, but the USB-C power brick cable solution they have, I only run these on medium. I think that, to be frank, they're, if not a fire risk on the high setting, just inefficient. It just kind of heat-soaked efficiency. On the medium setting, these things run blazing hot with the power bricks that you normally end up using. It's simple, it's effective, it's bare bone. It definitely seems like a typical Chinese manufactured product where you get efficiency, right? A small, cheap screen. Look how much nicer and cooler the Braiins screen is. But do you want to pay a premium for that? Maybe. And apparently their new version has an even bigger and better screen. I love that I'm getting some random information like the day, I'm getting the Bitcoin price. And it's just a nice form factor there. That's called the Miner Geek display. There's even other things that they could just be like a ticker. So that's fun, right? These are for hobby miners. You're not building a mining farm of Luckyminers. Well, you're probably not. Don't forget, Canaan manufactures their own mining chips. So when it comes to BitAxes, you're normally getting a used or lightly used chip. Probably the same with these other miners. Canaan should be slinging brand new chips and simply making them, and they could also be putting latest generation stuff in there if they wanted to do so. Let's talk about the heat. This uses around 120, 130 watts of electricity and doesn't put off much heat. You compare that to something like the Canaan Nano 3 mini Bitcoin miners. Those are marketed as little tiny desk heaters, and they put off a fair amount of heat. And this is due simply to design. For example, with more fans and running them faster, then a miner that is doing the opposite will put off less heat, at least up to a certain threshold. But basically, these don't put off any notable amount of heat. So as Bitcoin's bouncing off the charts, we dream, and some people dream of a Bitcoin strategic reserve, right? And we march towards the next Bitcoin halving, and we huddle in the corner hoping quantum computing is not gonna come get us and break the wallets. You know, I'm in the trenches, I'm solo mining, pool mining, I'm mining, earning passive income. So anyway, that's where we're at. Grab all this stuff I'm talking about down in the video description below. Support the channel, please. Again, my name is Vosker on the VoskCoin YouTube channel. Please subscribe if you have not already. We're chasing 1 million subscribers. It's crazy I'm saying that. Bitcoin's chasing 1 million too. We're in the same race in different eats though. And we were in 10 seconds of Tails, our resident Dogecoin, our super cutie pup, our CMO, our Chief Mining Officer here at VoskCoin. She kickstarted everything for us here. And I'm just thankful. I just appreciate her. I appreciate you. Let's crush it this year. I'll see you on the next one.